In this next section, we will talk about the administration procedure of the EFAR. In total, the EFAR should take you about 90 minutes to administer. You administer the subtests in the order they are presented in the test book, unless you're doing a specific assessment, for example, of reading, of writing, and math, then you can move them around. But typically, if you administer the entire test, you would go through all the subtests in the order they are presented. Make sure if you do take a break in between subtests, it is really in between and not during a subtest. That's very important. You should not stop a subtest once you've started it. Remember also that the EFAR is an individual test. So you don't administer to a group, you administer to individuals one by one in French, making sure that you maintain rapport with the child, that you have good rapport because you want to maintain the motivation as high as possible and the engagement as high as possible. Note that because of the EFAR being a standardized test, you always make sure that you're rigorous in the administration and that you're pronouncing or giving the directions exactly as they are presented in the test book. That is by far the most important thing and also the most common mistake that we see. So make sure that you know what are the directions you have to give. They are always bolded and in blue for every subtest. Stick to those and you will see the administration will be 90 minutes and also everything will go smoothly. A few details. When you administer, unless children have to read, such as on the letter word reading subtest or the pseudo word subtest, they have a choice of reading out loud or silently, for example, for reading comprehension or fluency in reading fluency. All this could also be done silently. They have the choice of writing either in cursive or in script. As long as it's legible, there's no other requirement. They can typically also give their answers orally or in writing, or sometimes they can point to the answer. And all this is described in the various subtests. They're allowed to self-correct throughout the subtest. So if they think of an answer, 4 or 5 items later, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, this should be this, then it's allowed you give them the point. Remember to give them enough time to give you an answer, but also make sure that if, within about 30 seconds after they stop working on the subtest or on an item, you can tell them, okay, let's move to the next item. We'll discuss this further when we practice. Before you administer the test, you want to make sure that you have the student name, all the basic information, for example, grade level, date of birth, everything is there. You have parent consent. You have all the materials ready, meaning you have the stopwatch, the pencil, you have the test book, the test booklets for yourself, and you're sitting in a diagonal with the student. That's the best way to administer the test. There are some possible interventions you can make throughout the test, and all these are detailed in the manual. One thing that's very important is what we call the alternate generosity. So more specifically, when you hesitate, where you're not sure if you should give the point or not, for example, when the word reading was not as clear as expected, and you're not sure if you should give the point, the first time you hesitate, you do give the point. The second time you hesitate during the same subtest, you do not give the point. This will allow you to make sure that you don't either inflate the score by giving the point all the time when you hesitate, and you're also not depressing the score by not giving the point on any of these occasions where you do hesitate. And again, we'll discuss this further as we're practicing the administration. Try to see that certain subtests are more prone to the need for alternate generosity. Make sure that you have as many, I'd say, observations and comments as you can in the examiner booklet. This will allow you to have the elements you need for interpretation. For example, you can comment on attention, concentration, on effort, motivation, on the type of difficulties you notice, on the type of strategies that are used by the students. All this will allow you to make sense of the score that you're getting. Some important images, I would say, that you will see in the examiner booklet, also in the test book, are the various symbols for start time. So, for example, when you start a subtest, you will always see the green arrow. If you need to apply the reverse rule, you will see the back arrow. You will see the stop sign telling you that's the end of a subtest, including the stop rule. For example, many subtests have a rule where you stop after 6 consecutive score of 0. You'll also see the symbol for the student booklet as well as for the stopwatch. The start points vary by grade, except for fluency subtests where everybody starts at the same point. So you will always see the green arrow. Stop points are also identified with the stop sign. Like I said, 6 in a row with a score of 0 is typically the stop point for the subtest where you do have these rules. Fluency subtests always end at the end of the time. The rédaction, written expression subtest, you test by block, so you don't have to worry about the stop sign.